I'm Tyron Spearman for Southeast AgNet.
The super buys just keep on coming at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens in Ocala. Yes, we are open, and this week's deals are better than ever. For as little as $2.99, you get a great selection of Gerber daisies, bush daisy, Parsoni juniper, red ruffle azaleas, and much, much more. For just $3.99, take your pick from frostproof gardenia, Laura pedalum, pittosporum, African iris, juniper, boxwood, sweet viburnum, and much more. And of course, May is crepe myrtle time, and Bob Wines has more than anyone with prices starting at just $24.99 for a big number 4 size, bunches of different colors. And listen, if you buy dark red, white, or pink crepe myrtles, it's buy one, get one at half price. Don't forget the big BOGO on blueberries. That's every day at Bob Wines. Go to bobwinescamelliagardens.net and come on over. Bob Wines on 38th Street in Southeast Ocala, daily till 4:30 in the same blooming place since 1952.
A sunny day for today, high 89 to 94. Tonight it will be clear and moonlit, low 64 to 67. For Wednesday, partial sunshine with a shower or a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon, high 86 to 90. Thursday, a full day of sunshine with a high 79 to 84. And sunny Friday, high 86 to 92. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Kevin Snyder.
I'm Jan from Palm Garden. The well-being and safety of our residents is our top priority and at the heart of every decision we make. There are no visitors permitted in our center, but family members are encouraged to reach out by phone or Skype, Facebook or FaceTime. Everyone is screened daily and wears a mask. New guests are tested and quarantined for 14 days. The response to these measures has been overwhelmingly positive. Thank you for your support and partnership. We are Palm Garden.
WOCA.
Listening to AM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source, in the Garden with Ann Baldwin, Tuesdays. I like that. That's the music. That's classic.
That's it. And custom rock.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening, obviously, to AM Ocala Live, as it is now time for our spot on AM Ocala Live, as we do on Tuesdays, which a lot of people look forward to, in the Garden with Ann Baldwin in the studio. Good morning, girl.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing real good. We were just talking a little off air. We got to mention it. It's the Garden Show to talk about some weather. The weather has been absolutely gorgeous.
Spectacular.
We got a little chance for rain tomorrow afternoon. So be it.
Which we need.
So be it. Yeah. And then the rest of the week, if you notice, Thursday, after what's supposed to kind of cloud up and weather for Wednesday.
It's supposed to be cool again. Another gorgeous. Yeah. It's reminding everybody that, yes, we do have spring.
Yes.
We do. And like you said, the 90-degree days or upper 80 days and the 60s at night.
Yep.
It's still spring. So if you're up early, you can have your coffee on the porch. It's in your newspaper or your digital paper, whatever. Or if you happen to be still working from home, you can have a few hours outside, with the family still getting up and be able to do that kind of stuff.
And I still, how could COVID-19 really survive? It doesn't survive outside. It's 90 degrees during the day,
and the sun's shining,
and it's just cool enough for us to enjoy that.
And reminding us that yes, we do have it's days like this. It's sort of like this is why those of us who live here either as transplants, as I am. I'm a rooted transplant. I always say, you can transplant a plant and sometimes it's not in the right spot.
Yeah.
And you have to move it. Yeah. Well, no, I was a transplant and I was put in the right spot, and this is where I belong.
Where were the roots originally?
The original roots were in New Jersey.
Oh, is that
Which
right?
again was a garden state, but I escaped when the getting was good. Is what I was saying.
Yeah, there you go. Here's a question for you. In New Jersey, because coming from Ohio, a lot of the parts where we were at, it had more of a clay-based type soil. What was the soil like in New Jersey?
It was It was good dirt. I don't remember if it was really much clay in it, but it was just good.
Because it's closer to the coast, obviously.
Well,
we were
on the we were closer actually to the more on the west side of the state.
Yeah.
So closer to the river.
Yeah.
And so you still had some of that good earthy, good regular earth versus our sand. But you figure we were underwater. Yeah. There was only one part of Florida that was never underwater, and I think it's like a 3-mile stretch.
Yeah.
So let's see. Where you got beach sand. Some areas are worse than others, and so just more organic material you can put in, the better.
That's right.
So
now, one of the things I couldn't wait to talk to you about.
Yeah.
I brought this up yesterday. It's been kind of. It was something that I brought up yesterday just because I had heard so much about it through the weekend.
Okay.
And I said, I can't wait to talk about this with Caroline and see if you've heard of these. Just when we're getting over the coronavirus,
we now have the killer
we've got
Hornets,
another demon from whatever chapter in the book of Revelations from the biblical times is we got the Asian giant hornet.
Right.
I was talking a little bit about this yesterday. It's been all national news. It's because now it's entered the United States. It's now reported to be in Washington. The Washington State University has been conducting their own research to find out more about this invasive species, and what it's doing or what they do to honeybees.
Yeah, apparently they decimate hives.
Yes, and they do it very, very quickly.
Yeah.
We're talking like you could understand like, all right, if you got a predator like that, they'll and a beehive, a honeybee hive being fairly large, over time, but they can desecrate it in less than 15 minutes.
Right, just matter of time. All you got to do is get to a queen, and
these things are huge. They're about 2 inches.
I saw that. It's like, oh Lord!
And I'm picturing what I told somebody the other day. Picture like a moth, like one of these giant moths that you just see just from whatever. But that's a hornet.
And I mean, I know we get the cicada. We have the cicada killers, which actually do, and they're at least the size of your thumb.
Yes.
Kind of thing. And that's a big, and that's you're probably getting pretty close on that. For these hornets, it's just
So here's the thing. Hornets, we know honeybees are there to pollinate. We know they do an absolute extraordinary amount of the ecosystem for what they do. But and that's why this has been brought up, by the way. A lot of people are wondering, like, oh, is this just more scare tactics for the media?
Right. It's something to change. Get from one pandemic to another.
Somebody on some morning show this morning when I got in the studio said, "Okay, so then does that mean next month locusts?" And after that, what comes? So what's next? There. What's next, Moses? What comes before the parting of the Red Sea?
Actually, we love bugs. Yeah. That's ours here in Florida.
Now,
the hornet though, it was the only thing I have heard. I haven't paid too much attention to that because it's been hit and miss of coming in. But what I did hear is they don't think they're going to make it to us on the East Coast, on the Southeast, only because of climate.
Right.
Again, the humidity, heat range, et cetera. And it can take a while for any invasive species to travel that far. But it is one of those things of watching out. And another reason why we don't ship things to certain areas.
Right.
Live plant material, you need to have permission to ship different things. Citrus in Florida is not, you can't just box up the tangerines out of the backyard and ship them to your family in Iowa, because you might be sending, even though Iowa doesn't grow citrus, you could still, the potential of disease spread one way or another.
Absolutely.
So that's why we don't.
And I was going to say with like hornets and wasps, would these things, as big as they are, would they do any pollinization or anything like that? I don't see them doing anything.
Maybe some, but not as a true pollinator that we need to watch, for fruiting, because usually your flowers and things like that are much smaller. It's feeding the nectar, from one to another, or going from pollen to pollen, but being able to get into those flowers, collecting up that pollen and carrying it.
These just look like what they are,
warriors.
Meteors.
They're the shark of the
exactly
winged stingy creature family.
I couldn't. I was like, I'm going to bring that up on Tuesday. But these things are crazy.
And I know people who I've never had a hornet's nest, and I've heard of people who have had them, and they can be scary because hornets are they're more aggressive because, again, they're a group. Yeah. They're not a solitary creature. That's the Africanized honeybee it's a honeybee with bad attitude. Yeah. And if disturbed, they get really pissy and they come and get you. But with hornets, I understand that you can actually take like a brown paper grocery bag, shove some newspaper in it, wad it up a bit, to make it oblong thing, tie a string around and hang it up in the area where you've had a hornet problem before, and real hornets won't come.
Really?
It mimics a nest, and it's an aggressive, it's
and they're like,
territorial.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we go,
interesting.
no, thanks. We're not coming in this neighborhood. We'll find another place. Yeah.
That's fascinating because usually the animal instinct is the other way around.
It's attack it. Right, would be to attack it.
It's like, hold on a minute. This is our territory.
We were here last spring.
Yeah, and this one don't even look right. What's up with this guy? This. But it's crazy because when you start looking at different things within the ecosystem, and remember, we were talking about this too a couple weeks ago, is when for those who are getting their garden or their back patio or things planted, we talked about, for example, the milkweed attracting the monarch butterflies and all this stuff. But remember too, you are also attracting insects,
the predators that are going to come and feed to those as well.
And I always just think with hearing something like that, obviously we're probably not expected to get that where we're at, but it's still just interesting nonetheless.
The honeybee and you got a lot of bees, a lot of honeybee production or honey production of honeybees in California and all those places. I mean, all over. I mean, they transport bees back and forth across the country for pollinating crops. Yeah. The European honeybee, hence its name, European, is not native to the United States, to North America. It is an imported, but it's not something that's going to get away and be a problem. I believe most of the honeybee hives have probably been infiltrated with the Africanized or the African honeybee. The killer bee. Only because all they have to do is breed in there once. You can keep replacing, and they're not as efficient of honey producers. Yeah. As the European honeybee is. And now I don't know a whole lot, so don't quiz me too much on it. I know just these little tidbits on this subject, but that you can replace the queen in a hive if you begin to realize that something's going wrong with the hive, with the Africanized, and it settles things down some. But with this hornet, this is just something that comes in and destroys the hive. Yeah, did you hear? I think even faster than like the mites and things like that that are disease and issues like that.
Did you hear what it does? So the researchers at Washington University found out they literally rip because they got a what do they call
mandible?
Mandibles are large, and what they do is they literally snap off the heads of the bees, and then they take the abdomen and they kind of create like what they call, quote, meatball.
Okay, and munch out.
And they carry the meatball back to their hornet's nest. So they're just taking all these bees, snapping their heads off,
and taking the yummy part,
and then flying,
taking the tasty part back with them.
Yeah, and that's why they're and their stinger, and that's one thing with hornets in general is, and it's what's different than bees. Bees, they'll sting you. That's it. They're done.
They're gone.
But these suckers keep going, and the stinger being so big on this giant hornet, this Asian giant hornet, that it can do it multiple times, and it's actually been known to.
It could sting enough that it could kill a person or another.
They say up to 50 people a year die or something like that in Asia.
And especially if you might be a bit sensitive to anything, that's going to be even more frightening for somebody. Anybody who's allergic to a bee sting. That's bad enough. At least you know that bee, that one sting, he's gonna die. He's not gonna come back and keep getting you. And where the wasps and hornets and things like that. And I think bees and the Africanized bee, they pheromone onto their victim, and that causes the swarm.
And that's one thing. Wasps, hornets, no thanks. And up north, we're real accustomed to the hornets. They're like black with almost like a neon white abdomen, and those things are intense. And like you said, over and over and over again, those things. We got a caller. Good morning, WOCA. You're in the garden with Ann Baldwin, and myself. Good morning.
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 Hey, Sonny.
Hi, Carol Ann. This is Sonny calling. What happened to the African bee invasion that we were supposed to have gone through?
Oh, we have.
Last I heard is they more or less interbred with the regular bees, and they've, acclimated to North America somehow.
Well, they have.
These hornets are another thing, and to my way of thinking, if they know what it is, they know it's not good, and what benefit does it give anybody? I don't know, and why aren't they out there finding a way to get rid of it?
I'm sure they are.
To me, this is just doesn't make sense how they attack or try to study these things.
Well, I mean, they're trying to find out how they got here, but they are trying to figure out how to get rid of them too, because it's not like you're going to run out and go, oh, look, there's one, and I'll catch him with my, just spray him. But no, the Africanized bee, they're still a problem. They are still a problem in this country. You just don't hear it that much. And as I said, they will get into the honeybee hives, and they do breed with the European honeybee, which causes that hive to be more aggressive. That's what I mean. You only need a couple to get in there that can breed crazy. with the queen, and that is an issue, and people do still get attacked by them, and
well, I'm one of the lucky people who gets stung by a wasp. I got to go get medical attention, whether I go to the hospital or what.
Or EpiPen or something like that. So yes, be very careful.
Nobody.
I don't think anybody does, because this one just sounds. I mean, just one sting out of this one sounds like it just for anybody is just going to be extremely painful.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it just boggles my mind how we know it's here. Or they say it came in on a ship from Southeast Asia.
Well, that's a lot of it. Yeah, it's an Asian giant hornet, and they're trying to stop it. They are. I mean, it's not that we're going to go, oh, we're just going to let this do its run its course. No, they are trying to stop it. It's just it doesn't have any predators here.
Right.
Or they're trying to find out if something will be
That's
predacious to it. What would stop it?
Well, the point of one of the things I'm getting at is we have people don't seem to realize it, but we do have very active border security as far as stuff coming into this country.
Oh, yeah, we do, but not everything is inspected. I believe it's only about 10% of all cargo ships are actually, or full cargo is inspected. Truly inspected. I mean, that's how the Asian longhorn beetle came in. It was actually in a pallet. So in something that was manufactured, and this beetle got in and made a ton, and that's how that beetle came in. The reason we don't encourage people to move.
Our people are very actively inspecting this stuff, the stuff that they get. They probably can't inspect everything.
No, they 10%.
Would have to have twice the number of inspectors, if not more.
Oh, you'd have to have way more, because as my understanding, it's only about 10 to 20% of all cargo coming in from abroad is inspected at the docks.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's inspected before it leaves, if it's especially food products and that coming from the country of origin.
Yeah.
We have U.S. Department of Agriculture inspectors of our own in a lot of these other places before it ever shows up on a ship.
Right.
But when it gets over here, and all you needed was an egg. All you needed was one.
Egg,
all that could have been tucked up in somewhere. That's how spiders come in.
Yeah.
You can't find everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But anyway, it isn't one thing, it's something else, it seems to me.
Oh, sure.
That's right. Now, here's the question, though.
Anyway, you all have a great day now.
You too,
Sonny.
yeah.
Like you said, something else. Now here's the thing: do we social distance with
that one? I think I would. I mean, I
social
hope
distance
that
myself from them.
Yeah, most definitely. They're saying, trying to go through that. I think I have one of the articles here. They're trying the window of keeping it from getting established. So that's what they're trying to make sure that they're trying to find out where they're at in order to eliminate them.
Right.
So because if they get established,
then
you can't get rid of them.
Yeah.
Or extremely difficult to get rid of them, because more than likely whatever would be predaceous to them could possibly also be predaceous to other hornets or other beneficial bees, wasps, and things like that. So it is one of those things. But it was
we got another
biggest
caller too.
tortoise he's ever seen. Wow.
Yeah, another caller on the air. Good morning, WOCA.
Hello. It's a little bit like that science fiction movie from the 50s, Them.
Yeah.
With the giant ants.
Yes.
They had to fight them with flamethrowers.
Mm-hmm.
You might,
That's true. Or you wonder, can they set up a fake hive?
and
get draw them in to. Sacrificial hive kind of thing.
Yeah, have a good day.
You too, caller. Appreciate it.
But they said they've even found discoveries of Asian giant hornet across into Canada. But so far it's been
just the Pacific
Northwest so far. But one of the little things that that it could get to Texas faster than what we think. And if it gets to Texas, then it starts to become wow, that's not really that far from us.
Not really, yeah.
Not with a Just trying to read through really quick, but it's hard. That they're looking for genetics, to try to find out. And that's how you find things. Is there a virus that you can? All you got to do is plant something that they will come to either ingest or get onto their bodies, and then as they go around, they're spreading it amongst themselves, and that it either stops reproductive possibilities or just shortens their time in gestation. It's things like that prevents them from maybe developing wings properly or something like that slows them down, because there's just the giant lubber grasshoppers that we have here. They start out as small black grasshoppers with stripes on them. Usually in March we begin to see them. But when they're small like that, they're easy to kill. Mm-hmm. They're fairly slow, and in March it's cool out. So in the mornings you go out in the garden, you got your gloves on, you see 30 of them on a leaf. They're not necessarily feeding on that leaf. They're resting. They're hatching out, coming up. You walk up. Done. And you've just killed 30 of them. Easy to kill while they're little. When they get bigger, that's another story. Yeah, you can saddle them up and have races, or you can try to shoot them with you stomp on it. You got to have somebody help hold you down so it doesn't throw you off. But there's fungal type baits that can be put out for them that. You then don't, if you see one if you've put this out, you don't then go and snip them in half. You let this virus, this fungus, take over and it destroys them. And it reproduces itself in order to be a continuation. And that's and I'm sure this is some of the stuff that they're trying to find how can we do this? Because you're not going to go out and spray all over honeybee hives. It doesn't work that way.
And a big part of a lot of people ask for is this just fear mongering or something? The whole reason the article I read yesterday was put out, and it was sourced by the Washington State University,
right?
Pretty much saying that no, we're trying to get the word out so that if you see these, you can contact somebody,
right? So
that way we can continue the research to find out what's necessary with where they're at, what they're doing, and then how we can eradicate
their
them.
Movement and
so really, it's it's all information gathering right now until they know more about it.
And that's how county extension works. Is that a lot of times the master gardener is the first link to the university, because the homeowner calls and goes, oh my God, I've got this, you name it, bug, whatever, and we say, hey, send us a picture or put it in a jar and bring it to us, and we do that, that kind of thing. But here, just scrolling down this is the New York Times article on them. This is miles of wooded landscape and mild wet climates of western Washington state make for an ideal locations for the hornets to spread.
Yeah.
So it's perfect, so they're putting out more traps to try to map out where they're at. And like I said, you can't just blanket spray and kill anything. And look, there's a wasp on the outside of the window.
Yeah, I see. There's actually a little wasp.
He's not
there.
a hornet. The buzz of activity inside a nest of Asian giant hornets can keep the inside temperature up to 86 degrees. So trackers are also exploring using thermal imaging to find them, to examine forest floor. So they're ground hornets.
Yeah. Interesting. And at least up to 80 degrees. Yeah,
86 degrees, yeah.
Because they're huge, and each one of their body temps are, man. As we come to the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, we got some more stuff to talk about within the garden. Hey, insects are in the garden.
They are.
We're in the garden, which we've been talking about. We'll be back right after this. WOCA Ocala.
News. I'm Chris Foster. As more businesses reopen, there's an estimate that coronavirus deaths will rise to 3,000 Americans a day by the end of this month.
The projections, according to an internal FEMA document based on modeling from Johns Hopkins University. In a statement, White House Deputy Press Secretary Judd Deere said the numbers have not been presented to the coronavirus task force or gone through interagency vetting. He added that the president's phased guidelines to reopen the U.S. economy are a scientific-based approach and that the health of Americans is his top priority.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland on other states planning to ease some coronavirus restrictions.
In California, guidelines for reopening some retail businesses are supposed to go out Thursday and will allow for curbside pickup as early as Friday. Some rural counties are already ignoring the state's stay-at-home order, and Governor Gavin Newsom says they will allow certain rural counties to apply to open even more of their businesses.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. America's listening to Fox News.
There will be parties again soon, and family gatherings. There'll be parades and sporting events and concerts. To help our communities when they come back together, respond to the 2020 census now. Spend a few minutes online today to impact the next 10 years of healthcare, infrastructure, and education. Respond online today to make America's tomorrow brighter. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
Pros. Lowe's wants to help you keep working. That's why we're open for pro business hours 6 to 7 a.m. Monday through Saturday. You'll find the quantities you expect with dedicated pro associates and loaders to help you get what you need fast and load you up curbside. Now, more than ever, we know you need to win every single bid. You can count on Lowe's for special values on pro-trusted brands and savings when you buy in bulk. Save yourself a trip by shopping Lowe'sForPros.com, where we can ship thousands of items to your doorstep or to the job site. Lowe's is open and pro-ready.
Hey, this is Matt from Crossroad Auto Sales. I want to invite you to come over and check out our vehicles. All of our vehicles at Crossroad Auto Sales go through a rigorous 100-point safety inspection. We work with most outside finance companies, and we even have in-house financing available. Stop by today at 1800 Northwest 10th Street or give me a call at 690-6695. That's 690-6695. Crossroad Auto Sales. We won't leave you stranded at the crossroad.
Yes, folks, this great month of May is time for wonderful tree deals at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens in Ocala. Check out the truckload sale on citrus trees. Choose from orange, tangerine, tangelo, lemon, lime, grapefruit, and others, starting at just $59.99. Those popular dwarf citrus trees start at $119, and you get a free bag of fertilizer with your purchase. And how about those crepe myrtles? Too many different colors to list in this ad, but prices start at a super low $24.99 for a big number 4 size. And remember, when you buy shade and flowering trees at Bob's super low prices, you get a second one just like it for a half price. Believe it, you can get trees almost 4 feet tall, starting as low as $19.99. Bob's open daily till 4:30, and they provide curbside delivery. Just call in your order. Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens, Southeast 38th Street, Ocala. Yes, we are open in the same blooming place since 1952.
Visit Southeastern Trailers today. We have new and used enclosed cargo and open utility trailers, along with built-to-order trailers. We service all brands of cargo and utility trailers, installation of hitches, wiring and electric brake controls, and installation of trailer accessories, with locations in Ocala and Ormond Beach to serve all of Central Florida. Call 1-888-622-1816. Again, that's 1-888-622-1816.
A sunny day for today, high 89 to 94. Tonight it will be clear and moonlit, low 64 to 67. For Wednesday, partial sunshine with a shower or thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon, high 86 to 90. Thursday, a full day of sunshine with a high 79 to 84. And sunny Friday, high 86 to 92. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Kevin Snyder.
Started in 1975. It's Yendel's Building Materials. Whether you're making repairs, adding a room, or building a house, Yendel's constantly delivers excellent service and top quality materials and many of the tools and hardware you need to get the job done. At Yendel's, they take pride in supplying their customers with new and innovative products. Yendel's experience in truss design, manufacturing, and component materials is second to none. 834 North Magnolia Avenue in Ocala, 732-3000. Stop by to experience the difference.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Listening to AM Ocala Live. That's just to let them know the second half of the show is beginning. That we're in the garden with Ann Baldwin. You're listening to AM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM. And by the way, we are streaming live, YouTube Live, WOCA, The Source Radio. Now, before the break, we were talking all about hornets and bees. The birds and the bees, the hornets and the bees. I do got some fun stuff to start the second half of the show here for you. This was brought to me, I think, by Joe. This one's kind of neat, and you know all about this, but this is for listeners out there. 5 common mowing mistakes when it comes to your lawn. I feel like I should do like David Letterman style. And go from bottom to the top. Okay, so because that's what I'm going to do. Okay. I'm going to do because the number one is the biggest obvious one, and that's it. So the 5 most common mowing mistakes as we're getting back into the season where we can see the grass growing. I can see out there it actually needs a little bit.
It could use a trim. Yeah.
And I'm looking at that and I'm like, well, they just cut that not that long ago. I think that was Friday or Thursday, but just with how much sunshine and how the weather's been, and we had some rain.
The rain kicked that off.
Now, with number 5, one of the most common mowing mistakes, we talked about this, blunt blades. A dull blade will shred the grass, creating entries for disease.
Yep.
Sharpened blade is to a thickness about 1/64 of an inch to keep the blade strong and not too razor sharp, but be sure that the blade is balanced to warrant a clean cut and also to avoid damage to the mower.
Right, yeah, because if your blade's off balance, when you go to start, because that's the counterweight of the motor.
Yep.
And so if that thing's off balance or it's been dinged up, it's a couple years old, it might be tip that thing up, go, ooh, how bent is that? Might be time for a new blade or head down. If you can't do it yourself, there's lawnmower places will sharpen your blades.
They'll sharpen them up. They'll do it quick, and they'll get it right where it needs to be too. And that was a big thing. And what a difference! Helping my dad do some landscaping stuff when he would mow.
And the look of the lawn, of the lawn after the fact. You can go back and you can see where it's been just beat to death. It's been just once you just rip it off, just might get a cleaner cut.
Now, like they said, now with the dull blades, as it cuts, it leaves it
jagged and
inconsistent.
And
then that they say entryways for disease and stuff like that. So the blunt blades, and we were talking about that just a few weeks ago. Hey, get those blades sharpened, or at least take a look underneath there. Number 4 in the 5 common mowing mistakes. This is a good one here. Ignoring the roots. It says a common lawn care mistake is only managing the parts of the lawn that you can see.
Right.
It says caring for the grass roots and the soil is one of the most important things that you can do now to ensure healthy growth year-round. And consider having a, this says here, local university extension program, or your local master gardener.
There you go.
A test of the pH of your soil can help determine, obviously you've been preaching this for weeks, the best type of fertilizer to use and how to use it.
There you go. Ding, 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 ding.
Answer gets a square.
Exactly. We don't go out and just lime our soil like people do. Some northern states. I mean, that's just a common spring practice is to go out and get your bag of lime and run your lime across and turn the sprinklers on and everything.
Because it's obvious because the way the seasons go and when the thawing of the permafrost,
and it's the type of the
soil. Yep.
And with us, our soils happen to sometimes run more to the alkaline side anyway. So if you go and throw more lime down, you're going, watch that grass just begin to decline.
Yeah.
So don't just run out there, grab a bag of lime from the garden center and throw it down. Have the soil pH tested.
And that was the big one. You've been preaching that for weeks, for the whole month, as we've been talking about spring and lawn care.
Into the spring lawn care.
I give a shout out to Hugh for that one because for a couple weeks there he called about the lawn as he's been progressing.
He's got his
Hadn't heard from him yet today. Hugh, give us a call. Man. How's that?
Everybody. Hope you're feeling okay.
As this is funny, I just read this wrong because I was just looking at the blades and I was thinking N, but number 3 on 5 common mowing mistakes, it says bagging it, not banging it. I said banging it. Bagging it. Though bagging may help the aesthetics, how the lawn looks, mulching is more beneficial to your lawn. Mulching returns the essential nutrients, such as the nitrogen, back to the soil and everything else. As noted above, frequent trimming procedures with shorter clippings can then decompose more quickly and then discourages the development of that fungus or disease as it would lay there.
A thatch kind of thing. Yep. Right. If you mow more frequently, you don't need to bag. Now, if, say, you were gone or you weren't able to mow and it has been allowed to get too long, then bagging that first batch or if you don't want to do that, maybe you don't have a bagger. You cut it once. Lower, cut it again, and maybe even one more time. Just bring it down a little at a time, and that way, because you don't want to remove any more than 1/3 of the blade at a time.
And if I'm not mistaken, I feel like a lot more lawnmowers now. The way the blades are designed is more of a mulching type blade.
More mulching mower blades. Right. Yeah, they are.
When I was younger, my dad, he cut grass on the side as a side job and stuff. He loved it. It's one of the things I told him that when he retired, maybe he should look into it.
Yeah.
But that was the biggest thing. It was it went from the regular lawnmowers, the lawn boys, to what was becoming of the Troy Builts and all the advertisements early
tractors.
90s of all of the mulching mowers. Like, for a while there, it was a little apropos to be able to see somebody cutting their grass and be like, well, why aren't they bagging it?
Right.
And then they're like, oh man, that's just going to get everywhere. And then you realize the way the blades were designed and the expectations of it, it's like finished cutting the grass and
you're done.
And you're done.
Right. You don't have to keep going over there and dump and throwing it away, because that was always that. What is that little story? Is, God, you gave us lawn and dud, and then we got to mow it and rake it and clean it and put it to the curb for somebody to pick up and throw away. It never made much sense, but okay. Yeah.
We always with our little garden, with our Victory Garden stuff, he would always bag before that
compost it back in. And you got to watch, if you're using a weed and feed, don't do that. No, because your weed killers and stuff are in the
soil now,
right? And into the grasses, and things like that. So if you use a weed and feed, you can't compost for use in the garden.
Interesting.
those grass clippings. So yeah, definitely use your mulcher. If you do need to collect it and you are somebody who uses a weed and feed, use it like along the fence line.
Okay.
To do along. Don't use it under the trees and things like that, but along the fence where you try not to keep stuff, and because it'll still be a mulch, it'll still break down, but you wouldn't want to throw it into the vegetable garden or flower beds.
What is that like like you said, to treat the weeds? If you get for example the
like dollar weed and things like that,
like the weed killer, so to speak, that it makes the lawn better, and then what is it actually doing? Yeah, what is it actually doing to the weeds itself?
To the weeds, it disrupts the phloem and the different. Well, I always get the mix up on those. It messes with the way the plant takes up nutrient, and some people go, oh, you use a weed and feed and it just makes the weeds grow. Yeah, it makes them grow to death. A lot of times, is that you'll see accelerated growth and then they die.
Yeah,
that's why it's better to use weed killers, even if it's just the weed killer for the lawn, while weeds are actively growing, not during a dormant period.
Yeah,
and that way they suck that in there, and next thing you know, they may start to try to shoot up, and then they can't.
Yeah.
It disrupts the growing, but it's targeted on the ones that can be used in lawns to broadleaf weeds. And what is a weed but a plant growing where you don't want it to?
Right.
Broadleaf versus grassy.
Yeah.
So it's not going to kill. You got a St. Augustine lawn and you got some wild Bermuda coming in. It's not killing the wild Bermuda. Won't touch it. So it's you're digging it up. So watch when you're if you're putting something down to fill in areas, realize you may not ever be able to get rid of those grasses later when you go, ooh, that doesn't look nice.
Yeah.
Doesn't match.
Yeah.
The certain grasses you can't get grass
and you
seeds,
nailed it, because so many times I've heard that you get that weed killer, it doesn't make the weeds grow
it just
bigger.
makes them grow bigger. Yeah, it does for temporary.
But see, that's what's interesting about the way you describe that. Even it's amazing, like the plant life, it knows, and that's why it's trying. It's like, what can I do to overcome?
Grow. Well, it just triggers. It triggers that growth.
It
can't do it.
Yeah, awesome.
And that's, we need to get to number one, but how the vinegars and stuff actually don't kill the weed.
No.
It weakens it. It burns the top off it. Hasn't killed it.
Right.
The roots are still going to come back because it did nothing molecularly in that plant to stop it from growing.
Interesting. So it was number 3. It was bagging it, not banging it. Bagging it. As we move to number 2, mowing pattern monotony. It says we all have our habits, but mowing your lawn the same way all year is one you need to break. It says mowing grass in the same direction all the time mats down the blade and can inhibit growth. They say by varying the pattern in which you mow your grass, you can increase aesthetics and avoid missing or double mowing areas and reduce the wear on the turf. I'm seeing, when I read that one, you know what I'm thinking of?
Baseball fields.
I'm thinking of a thick Kentucky bluegrass that if you mow this way,
it's going to lay it down.
You can't mow it again.
It's going to lay it. You got to come back.
You got to come back the other way.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I don't know if we have an issue. I mean, it might be. It might be one of those things. St. Augustine is a pretty tough grass, so it might be one of those things that if you go out on Monday to mow and you start out and you turn right. Out of the garage. On Thursday, when you mow, turn left. And go the other direction. Or if you go horizontal or parallel to the house. The one time, turn around and come perpendicular to it. And
see, that makes me think of it because growing up north, we had a nice thick grass, green grass in summertime.
I don't remember because my father would have been one to go, you can't mow it that direction. I'm not going to mow, but you're going to mow, but I'm going to stand out here and supervise the whole time and say, Dad, go in the house. I refuse. I will not mow over the electric cord. Because yes, we had an electric lawnmower. We had one of the first. It was cool. Yeah, I knew how to whip it. I knew how to whip. I knew how to whip that thing behind me.
Practice with a vacuum cleaner. Now it's moved out to the yard with the lawnmower. Yeah.
But Yeah, I don't remember that being a big issue, and I don't know if it's that big of an issue for us here.
Yeah.
Again, though, you might want to try it, and you may find you have a little better, that it is mowing a little differently, or maybe you're throwing the grass clippings in a little different direction, and or not piling them in one area every time, because if you're mowing and you're going, that it's all going this way. So next time you're going this way and taking it in another area, and even the next time you might go the other way and take them.
Yeah.
And it may spread that out, further putting that natural nitrogen a little more evenly spread across the lawn.
Yeah, and like I said, I think of it like when they say with the aesthetics. I remember we would cut the grass this way, and then I would cut the grass.
Stripes,
and like you said, baseball field. That's what I'm trying to do. And I would love. We had two. Were they two pear trees in the front yard, and you'd get to a point where you'd mow around, and then you come back and mow around. So you have this like spraying out, but then you have the lines. It was like that was the best part of it. It was just the OCD of making the lines.
Fun. And I also gave that preteen or whatever. Go, hey, see what kind of patterns, and you get a couple extra circles and say, that'll relax out in a day or two.
As number 2 is this the mowing pattern monotony. Now that brings us to number one of the 5 most common mowing mistakes. Number 1, drum roll. This one's obvious. Cutting too short. As each time you mow, only remove about, they say here, 1/3 of the grass blade. This will help the clippings break down into the soil while still allowing the grass to breathe. If you cut too much at one time, the long clippings can stress and inhibiting the healthy growth. Mowing frequently, but removing only small amount of the blade is a good practice and will give you the best quality turf.
Right, and all of that also does. That was actually perfect. I don't know where the source was from, but I'd say all of that is for us just as much as that's one of those things, articles that, yes, this is for Florida also, and for out of the New York Times, out of wherever it came from. The other thing with mowing too short is with our grass and the runners, it exposes those runners to sunlight and drying, and that's damaging to that lawn. And so you suddenly have bad patches. Another one of the reasons of, when you get the lawn guy who mows, 4 yards in a row, and he's every time he's bumping and bouncing, those blades do move and sometimes scalp certain areas when they're going at 100 miles an hour, or even yourself going, I can mow the yard really quick and get into the, whether or not it's, we don't have football right now, don't have any baseball games to watch, but it used to be, I can get this mowed, I can get in the house, get a shower all before the game starts.
Yeah.
And flying through, you got that Dixie chopper. You paid money for that thing to go fast.
I'm just thinking about when I was a teenager. I had that lawn tractor, Montgomery Ward lawn tractor. I had that thing in 4th gear with the tortoise and the hair. Right? I had the hair
all the way up.
Dad's not home. I'm hauling ass on that thing.
But
boom.
That's it. And so and again, so you're scalping in it. So if you have areas that have maybe a patch here or there that maybe you did scalp because it's a little uneven, you might go get you some compost. I don't really recommend topsoil for anything except filling holes because it's not screened for weeds.
Right.
If weeds aren't a big issue for you, you're not a weed freak that you gotta have a perfect lawn. You can use the topsoil. It's even less expensive. And patch those areas like you might be patching a hole in the wall. It's a little heavier where the damage is, and then it's feathered into the good grass. So if you and low areas, maybe you need to bring up low areas. Do it a little at a time.
Little at a time.
Don't just go and dump 2 inches of soil in there, because then you're going to put a piece of sod on top of it. Because you're going to kill what's underneath there. So, or grass seed down for that. It's one of those. But put it But take care on that. That's a really good article there.
It's pretty good. So we'll recap those. So as 5 most common mowing mistakes. Number 5, blunt blades. Number 4 was ignoring the roots, and you've talked a lot about that when it comes to the fertilizers and the expectations
of what you're putting down.
When we said as far as bagging it, maybe not. Maybe maybe trying to do what you can to mulch, but leave it a little high so that way you can kind of mulch the grass and let it percolate in there.
Mow correctly.
Yep.
That's the thing.
Yep. And then number 2 is the mowing pattern, monotony. And number 1, cutting too short. I just remember growing up, and it was always the thing where
if I mow it real low, I don't have to do it next Saturday.
You have to cut it next week.
Yes,
there's some rain coming. We'll just cut it really, really short.
You just killed the grass.
Now, when I worked at a golf course and I was part of the grounds crew, it was interesting because with the kind of grass that we had, and we had the roll type blade mowers, reel mowers, and with the John Deere, as it drops down, it's got like 3 of the reel mowers in the front, and then it's got one more like peppered back in the middle, right? So as you're mowing the greens, it's getting it really short, but then you would have the fringe. And there's many a times where we would let that fringe grass go, it was the same type of grass.
Right, just allowed to be grown.
But as it was allowed to grow, it heightened itself.
Right.
So if you missed just a little bit when it was time to pick them up, you would scalp that so hard, and you could tell like the difference between like a good golf course and another golf course was the attention to detail when it come to bringing up the reel mowers, the blades, because certain areas would be just chopped, and you could see how easily it would bake out. Immediately.
And same kind of thing.
Yeah, we do have a caller. Good morning, WOCA. You're on the air.
Good morning. This is Kathy. Hi, Carolyn, and hi, Adam.
Hey, Kathy. How you doing this morning?
I have a strange situation with my corn plant.
Ooh.
I've had it since 1981, and unfortunately, it's been in the same pot, so it's very root bound.
Yeah, I'd say.
Would it survive being planted?
Out in the landscape?
Out in the landscape, right? It's very, very tall. It's a long, spindly trunk, and then it has a lot of leaves at the top. It's very, very tall.
That's hard to say because it's been in that pot. It may, when you take that out of there and put it in where its roots can go where it wants, it might be a bit of a transplant shock. But you could, you could try it. I would put it somewhere protected because they don't like full sun. So it's going to have to be somewhere that's going to be protected from that, protected from extreme cold also.
Oh, all right. But, yes, because there's no way to cover it.
No,
it's
not
so
something
tall
that
right now. It's touching the top of the carport. The leaves
Wow.
It's a fight.
Yeah, that is tall. The yuccas and cane yuccas and things like that, you can take and cut those, and they'll sprout back out from the sides below that cut. You just have to put, you just have to cover that that cut area so that doesn't dry out. But it'll sprout, and that you can take that other part and put it in the ground, and have another one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good idea.
So that's a thought there, but that's one. He should have been in a bigger pot a long time ago.
Yes, I know. I feel bad about it. I do. It survived though.
If it survived, it's done well. It has done real well.
It really is. Okay, well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Awesome. Yeah, it should have been...
And one thing
she's asking.
We had a little fun all with the lawn and with the Hornets and stuff, but being today is Cinco de Mayo, and it is also Taco Tuesday, and I wish we would have got into this, is that you can plant a taco garden in the backyard.
One
of those little things, and we might even get back to that because there's always Taco Tuesday. Every Tuesday I'm on is Taco Tuesday, so we can get into this, but just the mention there with the Cinco de Mayo being today as well as Taco Tuesday, that here, especially in Central Florida, we can grow our tomatoes.
Yep.
We can grow our peppers. We can grow our cilantro. Onions and lettuce and things like that have their time period, so we may not be able to. You might have onions left from your spring harvest, or actually, May is about the time we're harvesting our onions. Usually, so your onions are there. Ooh. Garlic's probably not ready yet, but you've got all these different things that you maybe have grown the year before and managed to harvest. But we can get in. We'll get into growing some of those. Maybe next week I'll keep this bookmarked for us to look at, because it was just kind of a neat
What do you like on your taco? You like everything on it.
I do like everything on my
tomatoes,
taco.
onions, cilantro, with the pico de gallo.
Not so much of the cilantro, but I like my pico. I got my lettuce, my tomato, my cheese. Gotta have the cheese. I like some cut up sliced black olives on there.
Ooh,
yeah, that's a
interesting.
good. Get them down near the meat. I like the cheese on the bottom because it keeps the shell from squishying through. That or you put the lettuce in the bottom, helps to keep the taco shell from going squishy.
Yeah.
And yes, I prefer crunchy tacos over soft tacos.
Yeah. Every once in a while I do.
The soft tacos they're okay, but that crunchy tacos.
Yeah.
And they're messy as hell get out, but that's all right.
That's the fun of it.
That's it. You just big paper plate, lots of napkins.
Now what about like some jalapeno?
Nice zing to it.
Yeah. A good thing is with jalapenos, when I was, where was that? The Shiner Ranch. This is when I was flying for a company. We ended up in Texas, but one of the appetizers that we had that was made by the ranch there as we were staying was he just took and sliced jalapeno in half and laid in some cream cheese and then a piece of bacon over the top, sprinkled just a little bit of shredded cheese, and put those in the oven. And oh my goodness, I didn't realize how good.
Actually, Publix makes some bacon wrapped stuffed
they do.
jalapenos.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah, and you can just throw those in the oven. They're already in the container, the oven container.
And I did them in the air fryer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I thought
good.
I was going to. I think I managed to save it, to share one or two out of that package.
That sounds good.
They were good.
Yeah,
I may have to look for some of them.
And with Cinco de Mayo, there you go. That's a good way to end it. As we come to the top of the 10 o'clock hour, it's a good show.
Choose your foods wisely today. Don't mow the grass too short. And mow it backwards or something like that.
Yeah. Change it up a little bit. The monotony.
That's it. Take sharp blade. Mow to the left this time. Next week we'll mow to the right. We'll get this. Maybe we'll get dancing with it. So
as we come, you're listening to AM Ocala Live and WOCA The Source. We'll be back right after this.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. President Trump stuck at home like a lot of Americans because of the coronavirus outbreak. Today makes his first public appearance outside the White House since late March.
He heads to Phoenix to visit a plant that is making needed medical supplies. The Honeywell facility, according to the White House, is increasing production of N95 respirator masks to supplement the national demand. Also, the plant is adding hundreds of manufacturing jobs. Last week, the president said he hopes this trip leads to more opportunities to move around the country.
Fox's Gernal Scott. There's evidence the virus may have been spreading in Europe a month earlier than anyone knew.
Doctors at a hospital near Paris saying a patient treated in December for what looked like pneumonia actually had the coronavirus. The patient has no links with China, where the outbreak first emerged.
Fox's Simon Owen. America's listening to Fox News.
Have you wanted to